37 things you didn't know about God of War. When the devs were first conceptualizing Kratos, he actually had long hair similar to Spartans, but they wanted him to have a more unconventional look and settled on the bald design, which helped a ton with animation as well. Kratos was also originally supposed to have blue tattoos, but David Jaffe changed it because he was worried about legal issues. He thought it would look too similar to the barbarian from Diablo 2, so he changed it to red, which he later admitted he liked better anyway because it looked more violent. There's also an extremely sad reason as to why Kratos' skin is so pale. He was originally more of a bronze tone, but after being tricked by Ares into killing his own family, he was cursed to wear the ashes of his wife and daughter for the rest of eternity. And this is actually where his nickname, the Ghost of Sparta, comes from. On a lighter note, Atreus got his nickname Boy from the team not being able to decide on a name for the character. So while recording, they just used Boy as a placeholder and it actually stuck. Atreus was also bald in an early version of the game to try to look more like a younger version of Kratos, but it just didn't work for obvious reasons. In the 2018 game revealed that Kratos is about 7.5 feet tall, but he's since shrunk a bit in Ragnarok, and Kratos' height is actually the reason why there's two voice actors. T.C. Carson was the original voice and he was amazing, but with the 2018 reboot, they wanted to use motion capture, so they recast Kratos as Christopher Judge, who has a massive build. And while we're on the topic of voice actors, Ratatoskr from the new game is played by YouTuber and voice actor ProZD. And here's a cute secret, if you hit his chime too many times, he'll actually get angry.
Stop with the stupid chime!
And after beating Ragnarok, I was a little bummed to not see more Easter eggs, but there's this one that's so wholesome. While playing, you might have come across a musician named Rabe. But what's really interesting is that this is actually the game's composer, and Rabe is an anagram for his real name, which is Bear McCreary. Another amazing reference in Ragnarok are Kvasir's poems. There's 14 throughout the game, so I won't go into detail on all of them, but they're basically little homages to other Sony titles. There's one for Uncharted that describes a clever adventurer who's looking for lost treasure with his friends. There's another called We Who Remain Part the Second, which is an obvious reference to The Last of Us 2, and the poem talks of a bearded father with a surrogate daughter never being able to escape the cruel world they live in. But my favorite of these is for Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, which describes a young warrior girl with red hair who saves her people by slaying behemoths. And Horizon Forbidden West also has one of the most creative homages to God of War as well. You can come across this axe in a tree, and if you scan it, it'll take you to a snowy cabin where you can find a totem of Kratos. South of here, you can stumble across a bow at the beach along with some arrows, and after scanning it, you'll find a totem of Atreus. Now lastly, if you scan this destroyed machine with a hammer stuck inside of it, you'll be led to two more totems of Sindri and Brock. The best part is that after completing this side puzzle, you'll unlock the Mask of War face paint, which looks incredible on Aloy. And that's not even the only time Kratos has appeared in other games. In Mod Nation Racers, he drove around with a giant head. Ghost of Tsushima has the coolest inspired armor, but the absolute best crossover was with Hot Shots Golf. He was added in an unpopular DLC, but had a chain club, bad control over the ball, and the funniest voice lines.
I am the god of golf!
And if that made you laugh, this surprise real-life appearance by Kratos probably will too. While promoting the third game, God of War sponsored a car in Nascar and put Kratos' face on the front of it. But back to the in-game stuff, God of War has some small details that are pretty mind-blowing. Like, did you know there's an actual reason why the trees in Alfheim grow sideways? This is because trees grow towards their light source, and in Alfheim there's no sun, so they just grow towards the center of the realm. And in the 2018 game, you might have also wondered why Kratos doesn't catch the apple Sindri tosses him. Well, it goes back to ancient Greece, where tossing an apple is considered a declaration of love, and Kratos basically rejects it. Although some others believe that this could be a reference to the Trojan War, which was started by accepting an apple from the goddess of chaos. There's also a little detail about the in-game combat that only the most dedicated fans will know about. In 2016, Santa Monica Studios reached out to a YouTuber to potentially create combat for the game. Eric Jacobus was known for recreating fight moves from video games, and when he got reached out to, he created a whole move list for Kratos before the audition, which ended up landing him the job. The devs also hid a nice little secret in the 2018 game. After snapping Baldur's neck and rolling him off the cliff, you can actually free cam down the cliffside to see him flipping you off. And did you know the same game was originally going to be set in Egypt? They ultimately thought that they could do more with Norse at the time, but the devs have said Egypt could still happen in a future title. Atlantis might also make an appearance because it was scrapped in God of War 2, even though the dev team had tons of plans for it. And there's another detail about the second game that will make you respect the devs so much. They released the game on PS2 even though the PS3 was out. And they did this solely because they wanted the millions of people who played the first one to have the chance to experience the second without buying a whole new console. Respect. And the OG team has always had a killer track record, with the only low point being Ascension, which was solid but didn't have the strongest of stories. And what's crazy is that they almost ended the series there, but Cory Barlog started reimagining it with modern storytelling techniques similar to Naughty Dog. This is where he conceptualized the more human side of Kratos, which explored the dynamic with his son, which was also inspired by Cory's real-life relationship to his own son at the time. And if you're an OG of the franchise, you might remember God of War Betrayal, which was a mobile game from 15 years ago. What's amazing is that it had some solid combat, a decent story, and was actually pretty good for its time. And after beating the original game, there was an area that would unlock called the Character Graveyard, and you could see all kinds of scrap content. There were original designs for the Centaur and Cyclops, but the best part was Kratos with dreads, blue tattoos, and even the first ever model, which was the strange looking giant diaper man. And another one of my favorite OG facts is the phone number you can find by destroying the statues in the throne room. They take over 100 hits each, but the number actually lets you call Kratos, and there's even a dark twist.
Who are you?
It's me, David Jaffe. I directed the game.
What game?
Your game, God of War?
I do not know what you are talking about. If I kill you, I will get health or...
You know, up close, you actually look kind of pasty, if you don't mind me saying. It's kind of gross.
All right, that's it! Ah! Oh, jeez, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Now, God of War's popularity has become so mainstream over the years that it's even appeared in The Simpsons. In the episode The Food Wife, you can see Guts of War at a gaming convention, and the Simpsons game also has a nod to the franchise with a God of War sign. And Rick and Morty has a crossover as well, but it was more of an advertisement for the game, but still super badass. Rick straight up shaves his head, slathers his face in red paint, and travels to the God of War universe to take the Leviathan axe.
The Leviathan axe and other unannounced upgrades.
I thought this was about us.
Huh? Yeah, sure, whatever you want.
Oh, can you use that thing on the birds, please?
And get blood on it? No.
And while we're on the topic of popular media, there was once a God of War movie in development. It was rumored to have Jaimon Hansu playing Kratos, but the film was in development hell for over a decade, and now there's rumors of a TV show in the works. And did you know a lot of the God of War voice actors actually played their same characters before the game? The voice of Zeus is played by Corey Burton, who played him in the Disney Hercules show almost a decade before God of War 2. Hercules is voiced by Kevin Sorbo, who actually played Hercules in a live-action version back in the 1990s. And the voice of Perseus is the legendary Harry Hamlin, who was Perseus in Clash of the Titans over 40 years ago. Now, Hades' voice actor hasn't doubled up on the role, but I can guarantee you guys know him from somewhere. Hades is actually voiced by Clancy Brown, who's the same voice as Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. Clancy has such a diverse range as an actor, and I'm hoping they consider him for the TV show if it happens. He could play Odin, Mimir, or even Brock, but he's probably a little too tall for that. And if there's ever a live-action project, my man Christopher Judge better be in it. This dude is already an amazing actor who appeared in over 200 episodes of Stargate, and he'd honestly be a great Kratos. And if you guys somehow haven't seen him before, listen to these dad jokes he recorded as Kratos, and you'll beg for them to be in the game.
I am terrified of elevators. I'm going to start taking steps to avoid them. I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me. Why did they put a gate on Helheim? Because people were dying to get in. That was pretty good.
And that's been 37 things you didn't know about God of War. Subscribe if you're new around here, and click on screen now to see more videos. Thanks so much for watching.